Okay, here we are again. Today, it's time to talk about humanity, which is where we left off. So, let's begin there. We left off talking about the theological meaning of Eden, not the historical meaning, not the scientific meaning, but how does the story of paradise and Eden and the creation, not only of the universe, but of humans, bespeak the intention of the Creator? What is the Creator meaning to do? And we talked about how it's a creation of order. It's a creation of harmony. And now we're going to talk more about the pleasure and rationality aspect, relationality aspect, by getting into what it actually means to be human. And I also want to point out that I am sorry that I didn't change that stupid picture. I just made a whole note on it and decided, what the heck, I'm just going to keep the crap picture. So hopefully someday I remember to change that stupid freaking picture. Alright, so when we're talking about the original intention of the Creator, this is this is what we're going to do. We're going to talk about it within this lens, or within this mode or criteria of the four fundamental relationships. Okay, so this is one of those lists that you're going to have to know. Like we talk about with the absolute attributes, with the transcendentals, the kinds of questions, the big questions are ultimate and universal. This is one of those things you need to know, and it's the four fundamental relationships of creation, and they're all related. All right. This is the intention of the Creator, according to the Judeo-Christian tradition. So, the first is the relationship between humans and creation. This is a harmonious relationship. The garden, God brings these animals, and Adam names them. Adam interacts with them. Remember, again, I'm not speaking necessarily of a literal historical interpretation. That's not a question that interests me. So you can take it literally, you cannot take it literally. I'm not interested in that, nor am I talking that way. I'm speaking in the mode of the story, as a myth. And that's a good point too, before I go on. You need to recognize that in academic conversations and such, the word myth doesn't mean what it means in our kind of common parlance. So when you were talking about myth in philosophy and literature and religion, we're talking about originating narratives, stories that are about the big questions. That's what mythology is. We don't mean something that's just obviously false. Okay? It may not be historically true, but it has an intention to address in a truthful manner where we come from and how this whole thing plays out. So again, the big questions, which, where do we come from, who are we, what's wrong, and what do we do, and honestly, where are we going? Okay? So the first relationship in this mythological understanding is humans and creation, and that is a harmonious relationship. All right? Humans are supposed to be in harmony with creation. Unlike the cursed humanity and creation, we're not supposed to be fighting with it. It's not supposed to be a struggle. We are supposed to actually be stewarding it, as we'll talk about later on in this lecture. And so we're not supposed to be blowing the tops off of mountain and ripping the spines out of those mountains so that we can get coal. We're not supposed to pillage the earth. We're supposed to be in a symbiotic relationship with it that in fact improves the earth in its production, in its beauty. A wild forest has beauty, but so does a cultivated garden that produces fruit and food. Secondly, we were meant to be in a good relationship with humans and humans. This, of course, archetypally is seen in Adam and Eve. Adam and Eve are meant for each other. This isn't just about marriage. This is about human community. We are meant to be in harmonious relationships with each other. War, strife, arguments about who has the remote control, when they get nasty anyway, these are not meant by the design of the Creator. We're not supposed to be at odds. We're supposed to be one with each other, in community. Not the same as each other. It's a unity and distinction, a theme that Christianity is very, very, very stricken by and always wants to see. Unity in creation. We see this, or unity in distinction. We see this in the Trinity. We see this in the Incarnation. We see it in the church and the people of God. We see it as an intention of the Creator in humanity itself, that we would be ourselves, but be in a unified relationship with each other. Harmony. Creation, humans and creation, order. Humans and humans, harmony. And so then it's humans and self. You know, we are meant to have a honest and good relationship with ourselves. I mean, the weird thing about being a conscious being, a self-aware, rational being, is that we have a sort of relationship with ourselves. Sorry, the noise scared me. I see this, you know, like I talk to myself. You know, I walk around, and if I'm not talking to myself, I'm talking to my dog. So I'm just maybe not so right. But I talk to myself a lot, and it's because, and I notice, like, when I do something annoying, it's like, Alex, well, I guess, Dr. Giltner? I don't know. So there's this sense of that we are in a relationship with ourselves. We critique ourselves. We strive to be something better than ourselves. Animals don't do this. Plants don't do this. Rocks certainly don't do this. My dog doesn't envision a greater Strider that Strider strives to be. That's my dog's name, Strider. Strider's just what he is. He's a dog. But humans have a relationship with themselves, and they can envision a greater version of themselves. They can critique themselves for the purpose of just pure morality. And that relationship is also supposed to be harmonious. And then finally, and this is the culmination of all the relationships, what all these previous three are meant for, and that's humans and God. We are meant for union with God. We are meant for harmony with God. That is why we are made in the image of God, so that we, unlike all other creations, can be in a relationship with this Creator who freely gives creation, who freely gives being. So in this way, humans are called the, sorry, there's a typo, but there's called the microcosm of the macrocosm. Now this is going to be a little funky, all right? So just bear with me. Okay, we're not talking scientifically, all right? We're talking mythologically, we're talking philosophically, we're talking theologically. We're talking about natures, not nature like I'm going to go out and hug a tree, but nature in that, what is the nature of creation? What is the nature of humanity? And so there's this idea in the Genesis narrative, in the Judeo-Christian tradition, that humans are the microcosm. So this comes from the root word cosmos, where we get cosmos from, or in Greek, the world, or the universe, the cosmos. And so macro means big, right? And micro means small, like a microscope. Small sight, actually skopos is also Greek. It means sight. And so when we say, what we mean is that humans are a little world. That is, humans express all of creation within themselves, and thus cosmically connect and all of creation such that creation adheres within it and inheres within it. Now this is strange, I know, but bear with me. This is not supposed to, oh, sorry. Messed my, awesome. So there's this unique and continually reciprocal relationship that is found in the image that humanity has with the world. This is why in the first creation story, humans are the beginning of creation. They are the culmination of it. And in the other, humans are what are ordering creation in the second story. All right, so there's this inextricable relationship. Now, this is because in the ancient mind, all of the universe, all of the world was divided into two basic categories. Okay, they had subcategories, of course, but you get down to brass tacks, this is what it is. There's the physical realm. Okay, this is the realm of the body, the corporeal realm. This is the sensible realm. This is the realm of rocks and trees, and then animals that can sense things, they can touch, they can feel, they can smell. They interact with the material, concrete world. Okay, and the other is the mental realm, which does mean spirit, soul kind of things, angels, demons, whatever, gods. They thought about gods. But also the intelligible realm, the realm of the intellect, the intellectual world, the realm of ideas, things that are real, but are not in the material world the way that other sensible things are. So recall back to when we were talking about the kinds of truth, when we were talking about science and religion. There are immaterial realities that are still real, like ideas, like numbers. We talked about, you can give me 17 coconuts, but you can't give me 17. Right? 17 is an immaterial reality. This is the mental realm, all right? And so ideas don't become flesh. They can be expressed in flesh, but they don't become flesh. And animals don't become ideas. They remain material beings, okay? Humans, however, unlike all other created things, unlike animals and rocks and trees, and unlike angels and gods and spiritual beings, humans are both body and soul, physical and mental, spiritual and material. Now, this isn't a Cartesian dualism, by the way. This isn't the notion that there's only matter and not matter. In fact, in the ancient view, only God is immaterial in the realist sense. Everything, even spiritual beings, have spiritual material. They're made of stuff. It's just not corporeal stuff or sensible stuff. But don't worry about that too much. You'll get confused because it is confusing. But the worldview of the ancient mind was that humans are special because they have both the physical and mental realms in them. And so we express in ourselves all aspects of creation, because remember, the entire universe is divided into these two categories. So in this regard, humans are the microcosm of the macrocosm. And this is going to become very important. Don't forget this, because this will become very important when we get to the fall. But anyway, the reason for this is that humans bear the image of God. Now, that's in Greek, in Hebrew, Tselem Elohim, and in Latin, Imago Dei, image of God. Now, this is not an image like a picture, okay? God doesn't have a material physical form. So God didn't stamp us with, a picture of him on vacation in Hawaii, okay? So this is not an image in that regard. Rather, it is a similitude. It is a likeness. It is we have something that is stamped upon our soul that makes us uniquely like God. Now, there have been arguments throughout history of what this actually means. The first and most foremost meaning seems to be stewardship. This is like adhering to very, very specifically to the Genesis text. Genesis 1:27, I think. Let us make humankind in our likeness and in our image, and let us make them male and female, and let us give them dominion over all the earth. Now, of course, there's a note on the word dominion. This doesn't mean tyranny. This doesn't mean we can do whatever we want with creation. That would violate the first fundamental relationship, humans and creation. But it does mean a kind of stewardship. It's the same kind of dominion that God has. God has a dominion that gives and orders. So there is this idea of the image being stewardship. Some say it's the rationality. We are rational beings. We have the ability to think logically and mentally. So my dog can't do theorems. My dog doesn't consider the law of non-contradiction. Same to do with consciousness. Maybe it's consciousness. We are self-aware. We're rational and we're self-aware. My dog is not self-aware. My dog is aware of itself in the sense that It's a being that knows certain kinds of things, but it doesn't have self-awareness. This is why there's no dogs in classrooms talking about where did we all come from. Okay? That makes us different. Dogs and stars don't go to online schools to find out where they came from. They're not that kind of being. The last one is the notion of transcendence. This is the substantive view, that the soul or the image is of a like substance of God. What that means is that this soul has the capacity, we're going to skip this stuff, capacity for God, all right? Don't mind that other stuff. We're just going to skip that, I think. But what this idea of transcendence is that because humans bear the image of God, to a finite degree, we are able to willingly participate in a unique manner in God's transcendent being. This is where the transcendentals come in, right? We can't be eternal. We can't have a deity. But we can participate in goodness. We can participate in truth, in unity, in beauty, in being. That we even recognize the transcendentals. My dog doesn't know to sit when I tell him to sit because he thinks it's good, a moral act. My dog doesn't find beauty in the squirrels that he barks at all the time. He doesn't even, frankly, find beauty in me. It's not that kind of, he's not that kind of being. Now, I think all of these views are accurate in different modes. There is a sense in which the image gives us stewardship. There is a sense in which the image gives us rationality or consciousness. And all of that is ordered towards this final ability to be in a relationship with God. And so we can see in these the actual four fundamental relationships themselves. That we have relationship of harmony between humans and creation, humans and humans. You know, humans and creation being stewardship, humans and humans being rationality, that we can reason together, humans and self, consciousness, that we're self-aware, and then humans and God, that we can commune with the divine. That is the final culminating moment and notion of what it means to bear the image of God, that we can commune with the divine. All right? Now, we're not even to the Christian God necessarily yet. That, of course, is the context. But this is just the basic idea. Many traditions have the same kinds of views about God. This is not just a unique thing to Judeo-Christian tradition. Now, what those traditions end up doing with the image of God can be, are quite unique. But for now, we're just talking about a basic idea that the transcendent being created and created with an intention for relationships. And at the center of all those relationships is humans. Humans are the microcosm of the macrocosm. They're the center of all the relationships. They're the major and minor premise. That's maybe not so accurate, actually. I'd have to think about my classical logic again. But anyway, don't worry about it. The point is that they are the mediator. Humans are the mediators of creation. And this is going to become really important when we talk about the fall. It's also going to become really important when we talk about salvation. So, this is what it means to have a soul, to be made in the image of God. And ultimately that means we have the ability to love. 1 John 4:16, a book from the New Testament, says God is love. In making us in God's image and likeness, God has bequeathed to us the ability to love. And you know, you might be an atheist, non-religious, I don't believe this, but this is what the Christian and Jewish tradition teaches. And so again, you don't have to believe this, but you have to know it for tests and whatnot. But anyway, the idea is that we have an ability to freely love without condition. We can do that. My dog can't do that. As much as I love my dog cannot love me like a human loves. Not because there's something wrong with Strider. It's not for Strider. Strider's just a dog. I love dogs more than humans most of the time. But that's not what Strider is. That's not the kind of being he is. He doesn't lack something. But we do have that ability. And that is what ultimately it means to be made in the image of God. Okay, so I think that's where we'll stop, and then we will pick up with the conflict of the story, which is, of course, human sin and the fall. See you then.